Hi, welcome to Edward Box Guitar Tuition. So my classic album inspection today is Back for the Attack by Dokken. This is a bit of a favourite of mine. It's from November 2nd, 1987. It's 35 years old today. Still remember the anticipation of this coming out, and someone got us it from the record shop and then putting it on the turntable. I think my brother got it from a shop in Lancaster for me. He also got Great White once bit, and I listened to that a bit, but it was pretty crap. Sorry, Great White. Yeah, this album obviously was platinum, declared platinum eventually. It made number 13 on the Billboard charts. Prior to this, the Under Lock and Key album had gone gold and platinum, as had the Tooth and Nail. So Dokken were not the biggest band on the glam hair LA metal scene. They weren't as big as Rat or Motley Crue, but they're probably the third or fourth position one. I think their career was a little more consistent than those bands, and I think principally that was the reason for that. Was obviously George Lynch's great guitar playing and Don Dokken's sense of melody, and the fact they had more of a European hard rock sound crossed with the Van Halen thing, and it just gave them a more unique spin. So this album really took its toll on the band. I'm just looking at the recording studios it was done in. One-on-one recording in North Hollywood, Music Grinder Hollywood, Total Access recording Redondo Beach, Rumbo Recorders, Canoga Park, Los Angeles, Can-Am Recorders, Reseda, Los Angeles. Sorry, just looking at the computer there. So I went like 5 or 6 studios. I think this was probably in search of this sound or that. But George Lynch, a notorious perfectionist. And obviously they needed to keep Dokken and George Lynch separated. So I think Don Dokken did his vocals elsewhere or something. So I was amazed really the album turned out as well as it did. Not sure what George Lynch used for his guitar tone at this point. He was probably trying lots of gear. Imagine he was starting to dabble with Soldanos, Hot Rodding Marshalls. Maybe he bought some of his Randalls out, I don't know. Maybe he had some rack gear by this point. He certainly had all those gizmos by the Lynch Mob album, if you've seen his instructional video. Obviously the Under Lock and Key guitar sound, which I talked about on the Under Lock and Key anniversary video a couple of years ago. We knew that was Marshalls and Laney's and kind of slaved together and using a bathroom. But I imagine this was maybe more complicated and simpler at the same time. I tried to find some info on that, but couldn't. So what's this album like? It's got 13 tracks. It's the first album to totally embrace the CD length to me. It just comes shortly after Hysteria, which I suppose that's the first one. This is the second one. They're both 63 minutes. Hysteria has 12 tracks. This has 13. So there's a lot to cram on the vinyl. But it opens with a real Dokken classic, Kiss of Death. This is written by George Lynch, Jeff Pilson and Don Dokken. It's 5 minutes 51. I remember when this album, I first put it on, I was quite taken aback by how kind of raw and scratchy the guitar sound was, the rhythm guitar sound. On some tracks, I like the rhythm guitar sound on this album, but on this one I don't. I find it a bit too exposed. But this is a really cool track, something a bit different for Dokken, I think, something with the groove and the way the track is. Don does like a cool lyric, embracing the AIDS era. Of course, in true metal fashion, it's kind of blaming the woman, for the protagonist catching the disease. It's nothing to do with the man being promiscuous, but that's typical metal lyrics in the 80s, but it's got great, actually, when on the main riff George Lynch is kind of doing a little pinch harmonic, you can hear this delay actually kind of catching a note. That's pretty cool, putting that kind of slap back delay on guitars. This album's mixed by Steve Thomas and Michael Barbieri, who produced Mechanical Resonance by Tesla, and Tesla shared the same management as Dokken and Q Prime, but the Neil Kernan produced it. He was the only producer they could agree on. Kiss of Death's got a great solo. On this track, like George Lynch, there's a harmony, and that's something that's prevalent on this album. There's not many harmony guitars on Under Lock and Key. There's a little bit on the end of Lightning Strikes Again and Don't Lie to Me. But on this album, he does quite a lot of harmony parts, and there's a little kind of open string harmony part in the solo. It's also got a cool outro solo with a cool kind of flat 5 thing. So a bit of a Dokken classic, really cool opener. Next track's a Lynch, Pilson, Mick Brown composition, so I don't know who wrote the lyrics on this. Obviously, those guys were kind of in a separate camp. It's weird, like Dokken and Lynch don't get on, but Lynch and Pilson and Brown, seem to get on with Dokken. It's just Lynch and Dokken can't. Prisoners, this is probably the weaker track on the album. It's quite weird having it early on, but it's I used to like it more, but not as much now. It's got kind of a lot of harmony guitars, 420. but not totally rocking me these days. Track 3's Night by Night. Again, you can sort of hear the guitar really exposed at the start on this. This is a great track. It's kind of like AC/DC style rocker. Really good chorus. Phenomenal Lynch solo on this. He kind of plays a bluesy pentatonic song. He really gets in the pocket. He's kind of grooving, you know, and then he kind of lets rip with some crazy pinch harmonics earlier on and later on the song. Great outro solo. Yeah, I think that's one of the things on this, an excess of solos on this album. I mean, my younger self loved that. It's kind of Malmsteen level of solos. Now I'm kind of like, well, you know, you could have finished the song short and just crafted in a really good mid solo, a la Under Lock and Key. If you think about Under Lock and Key's got like 10 tracks on it, it's about 42 minutes. So average length of the tracks, you know, just over 4 minutes. And on this album, the average length again, yeah, it works out about 4.5 minutes, but the tracks feel a bit longer. But yeah, great track. Then you got Standing in the Shadows. This is Dokken, Lynch, Pilson track. Sorry, just looking at the time, it's 5 or 7. Really nice sort of chicken pick riff on this with nice production. And then kind of a reverse reverbs. Good, it kind of breaks down the verse, quite moody. Cool chorus. Good solo by George. Not his best solo on album, but a really good one. He doesn't do any bad ones. Brown and Pilson, you know, they always played it pretty straight on the drums and bass, but they're tight. And of course, Pilson has great backing vocals. Then you got Heaven Sent. It's probably my favourite track on the album, or one of them. Really good, loads of drama on this track. Great bridge with harmonies, and then into a really cool chorus. And then one of my all-time favourite George Lynch solos on this. Just really kind of, again, getting in the groove, playing in the pocket, over the beat, and then he just, you know, crazy fast bit at the end. It's really, apparently he's a bit drunk when he did it. It's 4 minutes 52, this track. This was a single as well. It's a video anyway. The videos are terrible for this album. Then you got Mr. Scary. This is Lynch Pilson. So this is George's take on the instrumental shred genre. So at this time, obviously, he's worked with Tony McAlpine, and then you've had all the Shrapnel Shred albums the year before, and then Malmsteen prior to that. I remember Kerrang magazine sort of criticising this, but it's actually a really cool instrumental. George puts his own spin on things. He basically Mr. Scary's it, he lynches it up. Lots of cool flat 5 melody, really cool solo in the middle, quite a big delay on. Cool rhythm, you know, there's a nice riff at the start and a nice drum pattern by Mick Brown. So that finished the end of the original side 1. Then side 2 opens with So Many Tears. This is probably the other weak track for me, along with Prisoner. Just not that into it really. I was never massively into it. It's 4:56, Dokken, Lynch, Pilson composition. It's nice enough. It's not a badly written song. It just doesn't totally rock us. The next track I never used to like, but when I was listening to it before, I was like, actually, this is a really catchy track, and the album needs it. It's Burning Like a Flame. So this is the kind of Van Halen sort of pop metal track. In D, you know, the classic D sus4. It's a older band write this, 4 minutes 46. This was a single as well. Pretty cool. Quite a kind of played down solo in the middle for this. A bit more like Bullets to Spare off the Tooth and Nail album. But yeah, it's a cool track. Yeah, I was really enjoying it. Then you got Lost Behind the Wall. This is a cool one, 4:19. Quite a dramatic opening, quite moody sort of verses. Like, obviously it's probably about the Berlin Wall, I guess. Really like the way the solo breaks down on this. Very atmospheric with the rim guitars, and then Lynch kind of comes in with some cool kind of feedback, and it mixed a bit low. The sort of solo does a run, but it kind of builds up with a harmony again. Yeah, like just talking about the harmony thing, I kind of missed out. Obviously you got harmony solo on this, you got harmonies on So Many Tears, Mr. Scary, a little bit of Standing in the Shadows, Prisoner, Kiss of Death. So again, quite a lot of like multi-track guitars. The other thing throughout this is a lot of clean and semi-distorted tones mixed in to add extra parts, as it were, which are really cool, really effective. Next track, Stop Fighting Love. So this is kind of a ballady sort of poppy metal track. I like this. Again, it's the whole band right. This is 4 minutes 52. It's got a lovely solo on this. Again, it fades out of an outro solo. In fact, virtually most of the songs in this album fade out of an outro solo. Yeah, it gets the best pinch harmonic ever on this, like George Lynch. He rips one out on his G string and then it delays, and it's like amazing. Then you got Cry of the Gypsy, so this is a more of an AC/DC kind of sleazy rocker. I like this one, it's Dokken, Pilson, Lynch, 451. George has a really cool solo on this, of course. Really good chorus, really good bridge on this, good chorus. You know, and after the run-in's really good on this album towards the end. You got Sleepless Night next. This is one of my faves. This is quite a groovy riff. George does some lovely stuff on it. Really sing-along chorus. What's it, 4:32, so a little shorter than some of the other ones. Lynch, Brown, Pilson, so again, I don't know who wrote the lyrics on this, but they work fine. And then it finishes with Dream Warriors, which is probably the most well-known track, maybe the most well-known Dokken track because of its association with the Nightmare on Elm Street 3 film, Dream Warriors, directed by Rennie Harlin. Lynch, Pilson write this, so again, I don't know who did the lyrics, but this actually got released for the film in '86, and the mix from the film from '86 is a different mix to the one on the album. I actually prefer the film mix. It's a little smoother, the guitars. The solo's slightly different, I can't remember, I think there's a different middle bit, and then the outro solo's different, another outro solo that fades out. But I really love this track. It's really good, really big chorus. On the remastered edition of the CD on Rock Candy, you get the bonus track, Back for the Attack. Now this was the B-side of the Dream Warriors single. It's a pretty cool track. In actual fact, according to Wikipedia, this track was recorded at the time of Under Lock and Key. So it's got a different sound to it. It's not a great track, but it's decent. I maybe would have preferred it on the album instead of So Many Tears or Prisoner. But in all truth, the album, you know, it could lose a track or two. I'd definitely give it an 8.5 out of 10. I mean, those 3 Dokken albums, Tooth and Nail, Unlucky, Back for the Attack, they're all sort of classics of their kind. Great guitar, really melodic hooks. And this album, you know, it was, you take your pick. Some people prefer Unlock Keys, some Tooth and Nail, for some people Back for the Attack's the fave. And I wouldn't disagree with any of those. Like I say, after this, the band did the Monsters, toured and did the Monsters of Rock tour. They did do some headlining dates, but they never quite got up to the full-on headline status act. And then they were kind of offered big money to come back and sort of do the Beast from the East album. I don't know if they went out to Japan and then recorded the dates, but I think they were offered like $1 million, so $250,000 each as an advance, and it sold pretty well. And that's like I said, a pretty good live album. And you know, that was the end of the original classic era of Dokken. Obviously, they came back a couple of occasions later on. So yeah, Back for the Attack's 35 years old today. I mean, when this came out, I was in sixth form. I've been in sixth form for a couple of months and was having a bit of a naff time, but I was, you know, I put this on my Walkman, it cheered me up. Yeah, it's big soundtrack at that time for me and big inspiration for me playing guitar. And it's 35 years old. Okay, so see you again. Cheers, thanks very much.